Hello everyone and welcome back to more AEW and TEW 2020. We are here, the last week before our Full Gear pay-per-view. We start off with Dark and some more Face of the Revolution qualifier tournament matches. As Andrew Everett defeats Donovan Dijak. Then Ricochet defeats Brandon Cutler. Ricochet currently has broken ribs, but still wanted to give him a win. After this, Vicky Guerrero is seen with the Latino World Order's Dahlia, Homicide, Penta, and Thunder Rosa. She cuts a promo about how the LWO is working their way towards prominence, and when Rey Fenix wins the Face of the Revolution ladder match, they'll be on their way towards complete domination of AEW. With Rey being both World Champion and Tag Team Champion, with Penta, Dahlia being the TNT Champion, and Thunder Rosa winning the Women's title. And Vicky does admit that while they're not quite ready yet, it won't be long until they really are. Just putting over the LWO, big new stable, lots of heels, lots of Latino heels, should be a way to build up Dahlia. He seems like he'll be pretty good in the future. Build up Penta, build up Rey, build up Thunder Rosa. It'll be pretty good, I think. Isaiah Cassidy then defeats Will Hobbs. DKE defeats Danny Jordan and Harlow O'Hara. Vikingo then defeats Fred Yehi. Then the Future are seen backstage with Jacob Fatu, the entirety of Princedom, aside from the Prince himself. They cut a promo about how they're all associated with the future IWGP United States Champion, Fergal Devitt. The Future especially put themselves over as the future of the company. The two brothers being especially ready to take over with how young they are, and the younger brother Leo says that he has always won, and that in AEW it will be no different. Again, just trying to put over some of the regions. That's going to be something I want to work on. Build up a lot of more unimportant people. Get more people actually on the card. After this, Jimmy Shane defeats Matt Cardona. Lavender Sky defeats Layla Hirsch, 2 Nightmare Factory right in a row. Cody then, third one in a row, as he defeats Brian Pillman Jr. I think I probably meant to have that the other way. Sprained ankle for Cody anyways. Then Matthew Raywell's troupe is backstage, and they're discussing how they should go and get their push. Avalon and Kiss are especially into this, while Dalton Castle seems more ambivalent to the whole thing. After a few minutes of failed suggestions, Dalton Castle finally suggests that they just stop waiting around and do something. Avalon asks the pretty obvious question of what that something is. Dalton says that he's willing to answer, but the audience doesn't get the answer. Tells them off-screen. Again, more building these smaller groups. Trying to, just need to get some of those lower card people actually doing things. And then, Jonathan Gresham continues his unbeaten streak. He defeats Rey Fenix in a 77 rated match. Good show of Dark. Again, one of my focuses for after Full Gear, which, again, I always say this after the pay-per-views. I plan to, hopefully I'll fix my booking. And then I never do. But try to get some more unimportant people build up. Try to get more lower card, mid card things going on. But that'll do it for Dark. And we'll move on to Dynamite. Moving on to our Go Home Dynamite. It's a bit closer to a normal Go Home, but it's still not exactly a greatly booked show. We start off with Brock Lesnar crushing Serpentico. 4 minutes of just no offense by Serpentico. After the match, Brock makes sure to accentuate his squash match by powerbombing Serpentico a few more times afterward. He then roars out that he is ready for Joe, Archer, Pac, anyone who would dare to get in his or Heyman's way. He's then called back by Heyman to get him ready to be a special guest referee at the pay-per-view. And I think I actually probably meant to have something in between this, but I had a lot of debate over what to do with the last 15 minutes or so. Kind of just eventually threw some things together. See, Heyman in his office, or maybe it's just like after, probably in this case it'd be Brock goes out, Heyman, he has the mic and he says, "After careful deliberation, I'm proud to announce the participants for our tag team title match on this coming Sunday. As a favor to one of our major financial backers, the Acclaimed of the Bankroll will be getting their match at the pay-per-view against my personal team of choice, the American Wolves, with special guest referee Brock Lesnar. I expect this to be a perfectly clean match, If someone decides not to follow that, it will certainly feel Brock's way of enforcing his rules. So yeah, the Acclaimed versus the American Wolves. It's definitely going to be one of the weaker matches on the card, but I think it just has a storyline purpose. It still has the. It's not going to be all pre-show workers because I believe Eddie is recognizable, and that'll be fine. I think it'll just be fun imagining Brock Lesnar as a guest referee. That just sounds hilarious. So after this, Rami Sabe defeats Nobuhiro Shimatani in a nice warm-up match. Afterwards, Sammy Guevara comes to ringside, but Rami Sabe is quickly backed up by the Jurassic Express, which gets Ace Austin and Jake Hager to back up Sammy Guevara. Sammy has a mic and he says, "Look, Rami, you're impressive and all, I get it. But just impressive isn't going to cut it here. You might have the skills and the pedigree to make it here, but it's not going to be enough when you're against all these members of the future of the business, against all these people 10 years younger than you and 10 times better than you. But what's a better way to debut than to put over the new guy, huh? Or, I don't know how that would... Better way to debut than... to put over the fresh young talent, huh? Look, Remy, we're destined to start our feuds against each other. I mean, our names even rhyme, so let's just stick to the script. Time's running out, and we need some matches for the pay-per-view. It's always about me and you, one-on-one. And then Ace and Jake take down Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. This is probably one of my worst written promos ever. This was awful. Again, I shot the bed on just getting these feuds to actually work. Sure, they'd be fine, but I just, middle of this build towards pay-per-view, I was on a vacation for a full week, not thinking about TEW, so another excuse other than just my bad booking, which is also part of it. After this, we cut to the VIP's lounge where they are noticeably without Deonna Purrazzo. MJF says, "Chris Jericho, I beat your challenge last week. I beat the so-called greatest wrestler in the world clean as a whistle. So, you gotta hold up your end of the bargain. I've racked my brain this entire week what stipulation I wanted for this match. I mean, I didn't expect to have to make it. I thought that Chris Jericho, the so-called GOAT, this creative mastermind, would be creative enough to at least do that much, but apparently I was wrong. But don't worry, I've got you covered. See, with the money that I earned from being champion of this company, I've managed to buy out this entire building here, not just the penthouse suite. So why not make this building our battleground? I've already gone through the work of assigning a referee, so you better be ready to fight surrounded by reminders that I'm better than you, and you know it. Sadly, I'm better than you and you know it. It seems to have lost its luster a little bit, judging by the fact that it's not showing up on the Road Agent report, but cinematic match. Should be interesting. Then, it just kind of pans over to Tenille Dashwood, and she demands that the cameraman zoom in on her. And she says, "As for you, Britt Baker, you've done something that you can't be forgiven for. You've chipped one of Deonna Purrazzo's teeth, and she's going to be unavailable for the pay-per-view getting dental surgery. But don't worry, I'm sure this is what you wanted. I mean, you get another patient for your side hustle, while also getting a match at Full Gear. Because I'm going to take... But I'm going to take you out. You're not going to get a cent from us, and we're going to drive your dentistry business into the ground. You know, we have our own private dentists, we have our own healthcare, we even have our own private eye care. You see these sunglasses? These sunglasses aren't prescription, but they could be if we just wanted them to. You have nothing, especially when compared to us." One thing that I'm going to try to do with the VIP's Club a little bit more is add a little bit of comedy in there. They're not going to be a full-blown comedy stable. They are still mostly serious, but add these petty things, you know. The fact that this is going in because of a chipped tooth. That they have all of their own private stuff because they're the VIPs and they're assholes. I'll need to probably tweak Tenille's gimmick, but that's fine. After this, Ricky Starks defeats Kip Sabian. They actually evenly score. Alright. Then we see Jake Roberts and the Vision in a clashingly peaceful Japanese garden. Peaceful for what you'd expect from Lance Archer and Matt Sydal. Jake Roberts says, "I'll hand it to you, Heyman. Once, you didn't turn your back on your word, but that's not going to stop us. See, Division aren't just around as a concept. We're not just a team looking for a title. We're something that shows this entire wrestling world what tag team wrestling is all about. People have said everything about us, that we're too old. Well, Matt Sydal is getting more praise than the world champion, who's 15 years younger than him. Lance Archer is putting people down with ease. Oh, they're just single guys, people say. It's been a dominant team that no one has been close to beating for a year, and we work in unison. Heyman, you may have won this battle, but the Vision is not going to lie down and take this. The war's not over, and you're next up on our list, Heyman. Oddly enough, for someone named the Murderhawk Monster, teamed with Jake Roberts, the Vision are kind of faces now. You can kind of make the argument that Heyman sending Brock after Pac, Pac, I don't know how to pronounce it, was a little bit of, Pac kind of deserved it. He kind of really beat the crap out of everyone. He threatened the Authority unprompted, so yeah. This one is a little bit more of a, again, none of these are quite stone cold level of going against the man. Still haven't quite figured out if I'm going to do that, and if so, who would be this stone cold. But still, Jake Roberts, Lance Archer, Matt Sydal talking about Paul Heyman. We then get Jeff Hardy and Andrew Everett defeating the Revoluchas. Just trying to build up a little bit of that chemistry for a group going in to try to save the Hardy compound. Then we just get a hype package for all the matches at Full Gear. Let me actually just pull up my list of what the matches all are. So we have Kota Ibushi versus Pac in a cell for the world title. We have Kana in the triple threat versus Mayu Iwatani and Riho for the women's title. We have Zack Sabre Jr. against Ricky Starks. We have Charles Batts against Brian Cage. We have FTR versus the Briscoe brothers. We have Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley. Rami Sabe versus Sammy Guevara. Garza Jr., the TNT champion, defending his title against Eddie Kingston. We have the American Wolves and the Acclaimed fighting for the currently vacant Tag Team Championship. The Risen One, Adam Cole, going up against Kenny Omega. Ace Austin and Jake Hager of the Inner Circle going against the Jurassic Express. Britt Baker and Tenille Dashwood going against each other. We also have MJF versus Chris Jericho in a cinematic VIPs lounge match. And we don't actually have Samoa Joe versus Cody Rhodes for the FTW title because that sprained ankle will take him out for the pay-per-view, which is unfortunate. Then we have the trios match. Kingston, Moxley, Darby Allin defeat the Dark Order. Yeah. Then a vignette plays to introduce AEW to Lucas Fenrir. Massive for his age in high school, he was recruited by many D1 schools to play college football. The 245-pound tight end surprisingly refused to go to college, instead continued his weekend passion working at the Nightmare Factory. Graduating from a high school in the Atlanta area only 6 months ago, Fenrir quickly managed to finish his training in the Nightmare Factory and has been on the road with AEW for some time now, training in untaped matches. Cody sees immense promise in the massive 6'5" rookie, who shows that not only can he deadlift smaller competitors, but can also outpace many others with his impressive speed and agility. Fenrir is a muscular middleweight, big guy, real strong. He's, again, not the best in-ring stats right now, but he's got some insane physical stuff. He's got like high 70 star quality. He's got 92 athleticism. He's a physical beast, needs to work on his in-ring stuff more. But oh well. Defeats Tehuti Miles. Yeah. It's gonna be a weak show, but well. So after the match, the newly crowned FTW champion, Samoa Joe, comes towards the ring, a mildly injured Cody attempting to cut him off. Cody stumbles for a moment, gingerly on his ankle, which Joe takes advantage of. Joe dives in for the leg, immediately seeming to mock his enemy by proxy in Kurt Angle for putting Cody into an ankle lock. Cody screaming in pain, tapping out, and it takes Lucas Fenrir rushing out, as well as Jimmy Shane, in order to pry Joe off of him. Joe responds in kind by beating down both Jimmy Shane and Lucas Fenrir, and he puts Fenrir into a coquina clutch. However, Lucas does fight out of it for a surprisingly long time, but he does eventually pass out as Jimmy and Dustin Rhodes help Cody backstage, with the security members breaking Joe out of the coquina clutch and helping the rookie, the 18-year-old rookie, see medical attention. So that's how we're going to write off Cody, really put into an ankle lock. That's why he can't participate on the pay-per-view. After this, we have a vignette with Adam Cole and Rosemary staring into the camera. And Adam Cole says, "I know that you thought you would never see me again. After all, you committed the perfect crime. I was dead, the only witnesses were your accomplice. Hell, you even made it seem like more of a coincidence to get it off of your back by killing off Rick Knox. But nothing will stop me now. Kenny, you've led a path of sins. You've led yourself into a world where nothing will save you and no one will help you. Adam Page, just using you to get to the top, like you did 1 year ago. Kota Ibushi, he's nothing. He doesn't care for you. He doesn't care that you killed someone. But you have not only killed me, you've killed the Bullet Club. You've angered our founder. You've angered our founding leader. You've killed your own stablemates, Kenny. You'll feel the wrath of not only me, but you'll face me with all the power of the Bullet Club that you destroyed behind me." Adam Cole is building up his match. Then a hype package plays to promote the main event of Kota Ibushi versus Pac in a cell match. The package shows how Pac and Brutality Inc. have been ruthless in their attacks, portrayed by Pac, and the main stinging point is Pac with the kendo stick right to Orange Cassidy's neck on the outside. It shows how few people have left the ring on their own feet after a loss from Pac, and he's even managed to beat the seemingly unbeatable Brock Lesnar. But once Pac's part of the promo ends, then shows Kota's insane resilience. He managed to kick out of the One-Winged Angel before a 1 count at Revolution. So far, the only person who's kicked out of a One-Winged Angel. Matches that Cody's lost, presumably he just hasn't hit it. So was his survival of a barrage of finishers by Fergal, Devitt, and Halloween Havoc. Both segments are narrated by their respective person, and it ends with both of them simultaneously saying that they will come out on top. Might as well go into one of those segments, and then we finish off our show with a IWGP United States title match. Jeff Cobb defeats Brody King. I'm going to imagine this was set up on Ring of Honor or PWG. They are both on those shows, so I will set up at one of those and like, hey, at AEW Dynamite, we're going to have an IWGP US title match before Cobb goes to defend it against Fergal Devitt. Following the big hoss fight for the US Championship, Team Angle all come out on the ramp as Taz surrounds them. Kurt has a mic and he begins to speak, and he says, "Taz, we've had a lot of history together, and I'm frankly ready for this to end. I won't deny the talent of any of your guys, but you have to admit that they're holding all of us back. Tag team titles are wide open for FTR's grasp, but because of you, we won't have the chance to be the first ever 2-time tag team champion. Hell, because of this, we're not even going to get the Christmas spot. So following this Sunday, when all of Team Taz loses all their matches, we're going to be finished with you once and for all." Then Angle and his crew, they make their way out. They're stopped by Brian Cage and Hook for a little bit, but Taz calls for them to move aside. Show ends. We zoom in on Taz with the US champion, with the IWGP US champion Jeff Cobb, and show ends. Definitely not going to be a 79, but 77. That's way better than I thought it would be. I mean, an 18 match. I am going, again, as I said last time, that's how you can tell I'm recording these close when I can directly reference the last episode. I'm going to try to get a undercard match, at least one super undercard match, in on every episode. Makes it a little bit more realistic, but that'll end it for our last Dynamite before Full Gear.